Hello, welcome to Africa Outlook. Today I'm looking forward to talk to the versatile musician Simba CI. He was born in Zimbabwe and now he's based in South Africa. With his unique style, with his unique mixture of traditional and contemporary sounds, he perfectly represents the modern face of Africa. Today we have the pleasure to have him as a guest in the studio as a talk guest and later on watch him perform as a live act. So good to have you here, Simba CI.
Thank you very much.
You just finished your tour in the Netherlands. Yeah. How did it go?
It was a beautiful scene, getting to mingle with the Dutch people and introduce them to the kind of music that I do, which is African fused, and for them to still accept me the way they did was really beautiful. Yeah.
How did they respond to your music?
They loved it. The fact that they found the music in my language that I tend to perform in, which is in Shona, more authentic and reaching out to them, besides them hearing it or understanding what it meant when they spiritually connected to the music. That was beautiful.
It's a proof that music is a unique language,
right?
That is
true. That is true.
That it's uniting,
yeah, it's
you
a
know.
very universal language.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it's a universal language.
Yeah.
Even though you don't understand the words, you know, you feel the music and you know what it means.
It speaks to your spirit, yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Definitely, thank you.
I mean, Germany is the next stop, and you already played on Love's Secret Boat.
Phenomenal woman.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she is a phenomenal woman too, and a colleague of mine.
Yeah, beautiful.
There are a few more concerts to come in Germany.
Yes.
What do you expect from your tour in Germany?
My goal to make music, first and foremost, is to reach the inner part of my spirit, to be happy with what I do. So once I emulate to do that, that energy is transferred to my audience. My story is told through the way I perform, regardless of you understanding the language or not. And I've been welcomed so well here also in Germany. And
it's not your first time in Germany,
no, not at all, not at all.
What are your experiences with the audience in Germany? How did Germany welcome you the first time you went here?
The first time I came here, I'm not sure if this place still exists. It was called the Newest Bar.
Okay.
It was in the early 2012. So that was the time I came here.
In Hamburg?
Yes, in Hamburg.
Okay.
Hamburg is like my home. I love it.
Your second home?
Yes.
Or your third home? Yes. Zimbabwe, South Africa?
Yeah, I'm a global citizen.
I can see.
When I performed, because I had the mentality that people want to hear something they know. So when I got on stage and sang in English, people were amused by the voice thing that I do, the capabilities of my vocals, which was uniquely different.
They were amused?
Yes, like impressed.
Okay,
like
impressed, okay.
It was something different that...
something they didn't know.
Yes, a male figure could sing such high pitches, which was creatively crazy, and they loved it. And then when I started singing, I think I did a set of English songs because I thought people want to hear something they know. And then one song, I decided to do it in my language. I saw how they loved the song that I sang in Shona, and they came to me and said, please sing more in your language. And that...
So it touched them emotionally, right?
Yes. So from that day, I decided to say, you know what, I'll focus on pushing the African agenda, which is at least people knowing that we have a greater side in our languages. We have a diversity of languages, and music can be transferred in any form or any language. So yeah, that's why I love Germany.
Yeah. I mean, when you're touring, and you're touring for several weeks, and you're away from your family, I know you've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
How do you mentally and physically prepare for a tour like that? Yes.
Wow, I've never really thought of how I prepare it, but because it becomes a natural instinct that, of course, I've been here in winter, and then I was like, no, I don't like the cold.
I can imagine,
come in summer. And then, so what I do is, since I'm still a citizen of Zimbabwe, I go home and I do the visa work, which is a daunting process. It's not easy to even just get an artist visa to come here. But when I do get the visa, then I make sure, because I have a band in South Africa, I make sure that my band is booked for the time that I'm not there. the venues that I normally play, because I do
they
music
play without
full-time.
you during that time?
Yeah,
Okay.
they play without me, but with a stand-in musician.
Okay.
So that they also are surviving while I'm not there, than waiting
They're all
for me to come
full-time
back.
musicians,
Yes,
no?
yes,
Sounds like that.
yes. So I place the band for that period of time that I will not be there, because I come this side to raise money in order to push the music agenda back home, which is the main focus, trying to change the world one quarter at a time. So, yeah.
I mean, you've got, a lot of responsibilities.
Yes.
Now you've got your family, you've got the band.
That's true.
How do you keep up with it? I mean,
it is... actually, the funniest thing...
Must be a lot of pressure.
Yes, it is. It's not the first... You're not the first person to ask me that. But I've always said, I think because of my upbringing and the way we were raised, you're always taught to look out for others, because they, in turn, take care of you in the future. So I know that if my band is taken care of, when we come back, the work continues even with greater energy. Than a demotivated musician is not a performing musician. When a musician is motivated to do what they love, because they know that at the end of the day they will have that money to pay their bills or do their things, then the music becomes even more broader. So yeah, I have my family that I leave behind, which I give myself time before I leave, after I do the shows, to raise the money to travel and to book the places or to make calls, to do the things I need to do. Do
your kids understand what you're doing and why you are away for such a long time?
Yeah, in a way, the older ones it's now in their head. They know that, Daddy, around May, he has to go or travel, whether it's Europe or it's anywhere else in Africa or the Americas. They know that he needs to go out there and work and make people happy, because he is happy making people happy. So a week before I start traveling, I literally do not leave the house. It's just time for me and my kids, and my guitar, and my family, and it's just laughing. If we're sleeping the whole day, we're sleeping the whole day. If we're talking and laughing,
you do whatever you want to do.
Okay. So that the gap is at least a bit covered when I'm not there. And of course, when I'm not there, we video call every day, FaceTime.
FaceTime is perfect. No?
Yeah.
And your kids, are they into music too? I can imagine that. I mean, you as a father, you play so many instruments, and are they following your path?
In a big way, because I was raised Catholic, and my mother was in the choir, and we automatically branched into the choir. So after church, or during every night before we go to bed, we have drums in our house, or that was the first instrument I started playing. We would sing Catholic African songs and do a little few prayers. So it's a musical family, whereby it's just a norm that before we go to bed, we come together, we sing a few songs. So two of my older kids are with my mother in Zimbabwe, because they're schooling, and education is a bit better there. So
it means you've got two bands, right? I mean, your family band with your kids?
Yes, yeah, of course.
And your band?
Of course.
I mean,
and then, so my kids now are being raised the way I was raised as well. So they sing, they do all this and that. And then just a few days back, my 5-year-old son was singing one of my songs that he saw on YouTube, and was like, Daddy, listen to this.
That's such a huge compliment.
It is. I was listening to that voice note for like an hour. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Did you record it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
You have to show it to me later on.
I will, definitely.
I mean, how would you describe your music? I mean, you mix contemporary and indigenous African instruments, and how would you, as an artist, describe your music?
Right. To that accord, I tend to not want to call myself a boxed musician, because I'm asked, what genre are you? And I'm like, okay, if I'm to call it and categorize it under a genre, I would call it Afro Street Motown, because it has an element of reggae, of dancehall, of jazz, of soul, of contemporary African, of the traditional mbira, Zimbabwean music, and all that. So I touch everything that my spirit wants and feels, so I can't really be boxed as a musician to say he's a reggae musician or he's a jazz musician. I'm a variety of all those elements. So music is just music. Yeah.
I mean, you're a self-taught musician,
Yes.
and you play so many instruments. What do you play? We're going to see you perform with the guitar,
right, yeah,
but
of
what
course.
else?
I play the acoustic guitar, which is my biggest signature instrument. I play piano. I play, for those that would want to Google this one, the mbira. It is an African, Zimbabwean African instrument that is played. It has steel metal strips. It's called a thumb piano. Or some, but mbira, M-B-I-R-A. That is it's like raindrops when you play it. It's very beautiful.
Yeah,
it's meditatory. It's like you could use it for meditation and all that. Then I play, of course, the djembe drums, percussion. I play marimba.
Of course, no?
Yes.
I mean, to you,
yes.
it's of course, but it's just like very special, huh?
Then I play marimba, which I teach at the German school in Pretoria. I'm the marimba teacher there, and yeah, that's some of the mixture of African instruments and
as I said, versatile.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, when you write your songs, you're also a songwriter.
Yes.
You know, how does it work? I mean, is it
right,
based on your story? Yes. What is it based on?
My music is a reflection of my life, my personal story, and the life of the people around me, and the situations that I face every day, my friends go through, or normally in Africa, I use public transport. And the reason why I use public transport is I want stories. When I'm sitting in a taxi, when I say taxi, there are these minibuses that 15 or 16 people fit going to a certain point. When I'm sitting in there, you hear people having conversations, and you relate to those conversations. And then that's where some of my music comes.
So you have to be in touch with people and with society.
It's the daily happenings of society.
Everything you observe.
Yes.
No?
And so those are my biggest influences in writing music. I write about the girl child, the struggle the African girl child goes through, the fact that things like contraceptives and condoms are readily available, but she doesn't have a pad, which is a need for a woman to have a pad, which are some of the struggles our girl children face. And I write about the struggles politically in my own country. I write about the struggles my mother faced when raising us. So it's all about social, economic, all those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was saying you play so many instruments, you can sing, and you can write. Yeah. I mean, did your family provide you everything to learn the instruments, or?
No, I come from a very poor family. A family of, I would say, educated minds, but without the accessibility of finances. Excuse me. Like my father was a teacher, an ordinary teacher who tried to raise us from a basic salary, but he had his difficulties as well with alcohol and all that stuff, so things didn't quite work out as he had hoped that he would play a fatherly figure role in our family. My mother, sadly, she never got an opportunity to get an education due to her family background. So the only way she could make money was to sell tomatoes and potatoes as a vendor, as a street vendor. And that was the main income that took us to school or provided food, which was very difficult.
So it means you didn't have this artsy environment at all?
Not at all. The only artsy influence we had was the church setup, where
the choir.
Yes, where gospel music was the core of the family. And of course, I wouldn't say we didn't have access to music. We had, but we didn't.
Instruments as well?
No. We didn't have access to, we couldn't even afford
to your voice. Okay.
Yes, my instrument became, my voice was my biggest instrument. But to have guitars or any of that stuff, it wasn't normal from the environment that we came in. Until a friend of mine who's based in the US now managed to access a guitar from another friend of his. That was the first time.
How old were you then?
I was doing Form 3, which is, I think I was 16 or so.
Okay.
So when I was 16, that's when I held my first guitar in my whole life. but not really held it as in he didn't want with it as well because it wasn't his, but we could sing together because he could play a bit. And I got so curious to what are those fingers doing? Then I begged him so much. I remember one day sitting outside the door and putting my hands and crying, saying, please, can I just have it for one day? He was refusing.
You were so passionate about it, no? From the very start.
Yeah, and then he borrowed it to me by chance. He said, I'll give you 2 hours to have it. So I went home on a small TV and a small VCR recorder, and I put Westlife, the Irish band Westlife, because that was our favorite thing to listen to at home. So we had a live DVD of them performing. So I would pause to try to check where they are putting the fingers. And that's how I learned my first chord. That's how you
taught yourself to play the guitar?
Yeah, by pausing and rewinding, pausing and rewinding.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy. It took me a while.
Yeah, I can imagine, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
it is.
That's,
It is. I never got...
Pure passion, no?
Yes. I never got schooling in music or went to any music school. Everything I know is literally self-taught, listening to others, seeing others do it, and reading books on my own.
And we're going to see the result now because we're going to listen to one of your songs.
Yeah.
And it's a letter to Louisa.
Yes.
Enjoy.
I've been waiting all my life, gasping for it to find love meant for me, and you came and rescued me, kept the candle lit through all the shy you are, and candida so and 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 the shy you are. Moyo wangu no fare paulori zengo mamuanaya, andikwa ni sekurar mudi wa usipo, jigare tere ngano zandode kukuza nekufambe kwa ndatinda ite, ichida kutunyatso wanarudorondinaro, ndiwe uriruvari ndatware muhanaya, ndakudiridzira iwe kutumere murudo, ndiwe ruvari arandatware muhana yangu, ndati iwe rambe uchiridze ngoma iyi ndashayiwa. Hey, angandida sewe ndashayiwa, angandida sewe ndashayiwa. iwe Simba ndashaiwa
So beautiful. I am mesmerized.
Yeah, thank you.
What is the song about? Is it a love song, letter to Louisa?
Yeah.
It was in Shona.
Yes.
Shona is one of your mother tongues.
Yes. Yeah.
What is it about? Tell us a little bit more about your song.
All right. You'll be surprised. In 2016, right? Yeah, I was here in Germany. Actually, initially, I had not planned on a tour. And then my good friend Daniel Ja was getting married to his beautiful bride, Louisa.
Oh,
right.
That was your gift?
Yes. So what happened was, initially we planned the whole thing, the two of us. A few years back, you know, when John Legend's song "All of Me" was famous and happening, everybody was doing a cover of it. So I decided to do my own version of it. I did a reggae kind of cover of it. And
Can
then,
you sing it?
Yeah, like
now?
All of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your urges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your heart to me. I give my heart to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose and winning, I give you all of me.
That's it.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I couldn't help myself. I had to sing with you.
So it so happened that when I did that version,
Yeah.
I sent it to Louisa and Daniel. And Louisa was like, oh my God, when we get married, I want Simba to come and sing this song for us. And they had not even planned on getting married at the time. Then Daniel proposed, and the wedding was happening in 2016 on the 4th of June in Hamburg. So now what happened, he called me when I was still in Africa. That was around April. And I was like, yo, listen, I'm getting married in June. How about you come here, but we don't tell Louisa that you're coming? It's like, how are we going to pull that off? Because you know that she'll see my Facebook posts and everything. Like, no, try to block her if you need to block her, that she doesn't know that you're coming. So I flew to Berlin. That was my first stop. And then we had already organized gigs so that I don't just come for the wedding only. So on the 28th of May, I was performing in Berlin. Then one of my people that helps me with social media posted on Facebook and posted on my page, because there's Simba Charandura, which is my account, and then my page, Simba CI Music. And then Louisa saw the post. And then she writes on my wall,
What a shame.
Simba, you are in Germany. Did Daniel talk to you? So I picked up the phone and I called Daniel, like, I
very
messed it up.
tricky.
What do I do? And then Daniel was like, do not respond. And then
That must have been irritating for her, right?
It was. And then I didn't respond, and Daniel came up with some story. Then the day of the wedding, they hid me in some car there. And then the time when I had to do sound check, they had to open volume so that I do sound check with the backtrack of a song playing. So as soon, people can go on Facebook and see these pictures, the wedding pictures. They are some of the most amazing things. So as soon as she was coming around the corner, I go, how do I do without you? She cried all the way to the altar. So as she was walking...
I've got goosebumps. It's so touching, huh?
In my head, as she was crying, when she reaches her husband, they both start crying. So when they are crying, in my head, a song is happening on how...
In that minute?
Yes, in that minute, on how Daniel could could have thought of how to propose to his woman, how he feels about her, and he couldn't explain it in words.
So you improvised.
But could write a letter. So that's where Letter to Louisa came, and I freestyled the song on the day. And then when I went back to Africa, I was like to my producer, I have a beautiful song that I do not want to forget. Can we just
That's
record
why
it?
it's so emotional and touching everyone.
Yes.
Huh?
The
Just
music
listening
video
to
is available on YouTube. People can check it out. It's
They
beautiful.
will,
Yeah.
for sure, they will.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit more about your upbringing. I mean, I still wonder how you got access to those many instruments. And the self-teaching is incredible to me.
It is.
How did it go on? How did it develop?
You
started in a choir that I know, in a Catholic choir?
Yes. And then it so happened that Onias Kaunda, like I had mentioned before, he had a guitar that he had borrowed because he was playing. He was my go-to guy when I wanted to sing outside the church kind of realm. I would go to his place, and we get to his flat. He starts playing the guitar and I sing. So we write songs
Did people figure out that you are especially talented?
Yes.
I mean, there's so many people singing in the choir.
I sang in the community a lot. And
like solo parts?
Yes, I sang in the community in the sense that when I started learning the guitar, I would sit outside our backyard. And we lived in this small, four-roomed, very closed house, and I would sit on the stairs at the back and start playing Westlife songs or gospel songs. And then the kids in the community who were younger than me would come into our yard and just sit there.
In Sisinda, right?
Yes, in Sisinda. Oh, beautiful. You said it very great. And then I would start teaching them songs. That's where my song writing skills developed, trying to teach the children
At what age?
I was 16, 17, 18 as I was growing. Then within the years, I would be learning more things on the guitar.
How did your family respond?
My father, it was hard for him because, you know, he has always wanted his older son, who's my brother.
My brother? You're the second one?
Yeah, I'm the second born. My older brother is an electrical artisan, so he has this job, fancy kind of job. And my father always wanted his kids to have an education and to work at something. So he didn't consider art or music as something that's a career because from his experience, I wouldn't blame him with the artists that he knows. None of them ever really lasted in the industry. So he didn't want that for his son. So he was
wanted
always,
the best for you,
yes.
No?
So he was always hard on me the most because he could see it. He could see it that in a few years, I won't be able to control this. So he tried for some time to kind of make me... So I got depressed also as a young age because I felt unloved by my father. I felt like he didn't care about how I feel. When you have...
It was a kind of misunderstanding in a way,
when you have this fire inside you and somebody's trying to switch it off and it keeps burning and trying to switch it off, it didn't quite work out. But my mom always was like, yeah, do what you love. But always also read your books so that you can balance the two, of which I did. And then... So
she encouraged you to be educated and to do your thing, no?
So, yeah, it developed gradually, and I went on to experiment on the piano as well, tried to figure out the sounds one by one, because I still can't read sheet music and all that.
Did you have mentors?
At the time, it was hard. You wouldn't have anybody who teaches you.
The leader of the choir? Or?
Not at all. They couldn't play instruments. They could simply sing. So I became the one who introduced things like guitars and piano in our Catholic parish. So when the men's choir would sing, I would be the one playing guitar and leading the songs.
You must have practiced a lot.
A lot.
Hours.
A lot.
Almost the whole day.
And then it so happened when I was my high school, which was Ihlati High School, I became choir captain as well. So I kind of influenced the instrument part of it. And then we fortunately recorded an album after there was a big cyclone in Africa as well, which was the theme of the music was related to the disaster that had happened.
The cyclone, okay.
So that was my first time getting in a music studio. And I was like, wow, I think I can do this for the rest of my life. So, and I led the songs.
Was it a dream come true?
It was.
To you?
I mean, coming from where I come from, I'd never seen a studio set up. You just hear music being made, but you've never been to where music is made. So when I actually was in an environment of a recording studio,
did you feel at home immediately?
I felt in heaven. Like it was just, I was out of the world.
It was meant to be, no?
It was. And then with that experience, I also was harassing people to teach me more, to want to know more. How do I develop more? But people could not contain the capabilities of my vocals. I remember one of my friends was like, you have what we call the Lucifer effect. How do you sing 3 voices at the same time?
Really? Because they didn't know.
Yeah, they did not understand it.
This wide range. Yeah.
I did not understand it myself because I could find myself singing a high pitch and jump into
But you trained your voice from small age
yes,
on, right?
I started singing like with my mom from when I was 3.
Okay.
So that's when so the only vocal she knew was soprano, so she would teach me what she knows.
Okay.
Not really teach me, but sing along with me, teaching me the hymns in the voice that she knew. So as a child, you'd learn from your mother what she knows and you would take that. But as I grew and started singing in the choirs and what so on, I developed all the other ranges as well at the same time. So, yeah. And then after high school, things became very bad in Zimbabwe. Around 2000, because I finished high school around 2002, and then around 2007, that's a few years later, things became very bad. That's when I had my first daughter.
What does it mean, very bad? Can you explain it to the audience?
In the sense that I would give an example with Germany after the Second World War, where inflation was the craziest, where people could not afford to buy anything. We joke about it now, but everybody was a billionaire in Zimbabwe at the time. Okay, you were buying a loaf of bread with $1 billion. That was insane. That in the sense that even if you picked $500 million of Zimbabwean dollars in the street, you wouldn't pick it up because it wasn't
worth
useless.
Anything anymore.
So you can imagine my mother struggling to raise her children in an environment that's already harsh. And then my brother needing to finish his course. He had also become a father. And I had just become a father. And we had children to take care of. And I needed to finish my course as well. So the family had to choose between my brother finishing his course or me leaving for South Africa. My dad had already gone like a year before, trying to take care of the family, but things were not that easy for him as well. So he needed somebody who would assist him. So one fateful day, my mother takes the only money she had saved, like to pay for my brother's fees or to pay for half of my fees to finish my school, which was $20 at the time, which was a lot of money for us. Like it would take you months to save that. And then she says to my brother, I'm going to give you $5. But the other $15, I'm going to give it to your little brother so that he travels to South Africa. When I say travel to South Africa, it didn't mean getting on a bus,
on a plane,
or getting on a border, getting your passport stamped and going. Because at the time, South Africa and Zimbabwe had visas as well. And to get a South African visa at the time coming
it was really hard.
It was hard. Yes. You needed money. And needing money, that at the time, if I equated, it was close to €100 to get the visa. And where was my mother going to get €100? So she gave me that $15, and that was the only money I had. I hitchhiked about 500.
That was the only money you had?
Yes.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Nothing on an account, nothing?
Nothing. Gave me
That's really courageous, huh?
Gave me $15 and then said, good luck. I didn't have a phone at the time to be able to communicate.
Must have broken your mother's heart. Huh?
She was crying all the time as she was handing in the money because I'm that fragile child. She always saw something unique in. And I was leaving her.
That's so courageous. And I want to know where this courage is coming from. Yeah. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but before, we're going to enjoy another song.
Yeah, most definitely.
And it's called Iyavi Nesu. But what does it mean? Iwai Nesu. Okay,
that means be with us.
And it's also in Shona?
Yes, it's in Shona. This particular song, I sang this song because one of my biggest inspirations is called Chiwoniso Maraire. People can Google and check her. May her soul rest in peace. She's one of my biggest influence. Mbira music player, and this is her song which I've covered before, and I had to cover it because it is very relevant for this particular time. So Iwai Nesu means God or the great ancestors protect your children.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Ab geht's. Let's go.
kumwe vaparara nenzara, kumwe vachifa nekuguta, kumwe vaparara nemvura, kumwe vachipera nezuva, tungamirwa nekutungamirwa, tiri vana venyu, mukutaura nekuomoka, tiri vana venyu, mukutaura nemukurota, tiri vana venyu, tiri vana venyu. Iwe nesu Mwari Baba, Mwari Baba, iwe nesu, iwe nesu Mwari Baba, Mwari Baba, iwe nesu, iwe nesu Mwari Baba, Mwari Baba, iwe nesu, iwe nesu Mwari Baba, Mwari Baba, iwe nesu. Lord God, be with your children. Be with your children, Lord God. Lord God, be with your children. Oh, be with your children, Lord God. Lord God, be with your children. Be with your children, Lord God. Yeah. Lord God, be with your children. Oh, be with your children, Lord God. Even if somebody, Mama, Mwari Baba, even if somebody, Baba, Mwari Baba, even if somebody, Baba, Mwari Baba, even if somebody, Baba, Mwari Baba, even if
EY needs to be with us, and this title goes perfectly with the theme we just spoke about the courage. I mean, what does it mean, be with us?
Yes.
Is it a prayer?
Yes, it is some sort of prayer.
In Shona again?
Yes, in Shona, yes. Saying, God protect your children. Some are struggling with hunger, some are struggling with too much water, some are struggling with having everything. But guide us through every circumstance, and that's why it says, God, be with your children. Be with your children, Lord God. So it is a prayer.
Is it a Christian song?
I wouldn't call it a Christian song, but it has an element of prayer, because to some extent, in an African perspective, it could mean our ancestors to guide us and protect us and what's on. So yeah, it falls in every other category.
We were just talking about you being in the situation of leaving Zimbabwe with little money.
Yes.
And I was saying it needs a lot of courage.
It does. It
and
does.
what was this courage based on? A belief, maybe?
Right. Yes. One, my upbringing. Secondly, when I left the house that day, I had to look at my daughter, who was 3 months old, and say, I want so much for her. And I wanted to grow up in an environment unlike this one that I'm in. And if South Africa was the solution, then I had no choice. So I left the house, hitchhiked, got to Beitbridge, which is the border between South Africa and Zimbabwe.
Were you scared?
I was. There's no way I wouldn't be.
How old were you then?
I was 21. There was,
very young.
Yes,
huh?
there was no way I would not be scared because I was traveling alone. I had never left the country alone, and it was my first long distance going to a territory I've never been.
But how did you travel? By foot?
I hitchhiked.
You hitchhiked.
I used some of that money. I mean, I caught a lift and paid to get it. Bulawayo, which is my home city, is like 500 to 600 kilometers to the border. So it took us a couple of hours to get to the border post. And when I got there, I had to be smart enough to ask the people there, because that time there was an influx of Zimbabweans crossing the border illegally at the same time. Not one of my proudest moments, but I had no choice. So when I got to the border, as young as I was, I had to think very fast and to ask somebody, okay, who can assist us? And then they said, wait here, and then somebody will come and announce, those who want to go to South Africa, follow me. You have to have this much money for me to assist you and what so on. So when I got there, sat by that corner, I fell asleep. I was tired from a long journey. By the time I woke up, my wallet was gone and all the money was gone.
You didn't have anything anymore.
I didn't have anything anymore. So now I had to think like going back home would break my mom's heart because that was all the money she had. And now I don't have money for food, for transport, or for anything. Then one of these guys that announces, I call him, I'm like, please assist me with a phone call. Then I use his phone, I call my father. And then he speaks to my father, and my father was saying, Ish, I don't have money right now, but if you bring him, I'll make a plan to pay you with something. And then that was the agreement that started my journey. So as we walked for a couple of hours, we reached the river bank of the Limpopo River, which is the one that separates...
A couple of hours means like how many hours?
Yeah, probably 1 or 2 or 3 hours of walking to the point where we were going to cross in order to get to the other side of South Africa. I'm going to point out, I can't swim. I'm scared of water. And there were crocodiles. It's a crocodile-infested river, the Limpopo River. But the fortunate thing is it was high tides. High tides meaning when water is like moving and you could hear the sound of the water. So here are young men who are trying to find a different life for their family, because even if they work in their home country, they don't get paid. There's nothing to pay bills with or bring food. There's no food. People are sleeping on water and sugar nearly every day.
So what did you eat? I mean, you didn't have any money
on
left.
that particular day, I didn't eat. Like for a full day and a half, nothing, because there was nobody's mother or father there. You had to really
Nobody
stay
who
strong.
took care.
Yes. So when we reached the bank, the guy who was making us cross removed a very big rope, because he knew that people can't swim. So we had to tie this rope on our waist and pass it on to the next person. You tie it so.
How deep is the river? Do you know? I'm
getting there. No, I don't know. I could probably Google it and check it out. But the part that he wanted us to cross, he was saying, is the shallow part of the river where we could walk. We had to put our faith in him, our lives in him, and hopefully that we get to where we were going.
Without knowing him at all.
So we start walking. The water was very cold, and remember the currency was pushing that side. We start walking. When you start the river banks, the water keeps rising because you're getting into... So the water kept rising, and I'm like, okay, maybe it will stop by the stomach. The water kept rising, now it's up here. Now I start panicking, the water starts rising, it's up to your neck. You're like, oh my God, is this gonna go further?
And you were attached to this rope?
We were attached to everybody as we were walking, so there was no way to separate yourself or do anything. Luckily, we make it on the other side. The water was nearly below my chin. And then we get to the other side. When we get to the other side, there was a big fence that was cut out for people to cross. Now not. We were like 12 of us, 10 11, 12 of us, if I remember very well. But only 6 of us made it the other side.
And the other ones?
I still don't know.
They
Up
drowned?
to today,
No.
I do not know.
You don't know. You just know they didn't make it.
I know that they didn't make it the other side. Okay. I don't know whether they drowned or the water took them or crocodiles by some extent. I do not know. And maybe I will die without even knowing. But then when we made the other side, we saw that there were few people. And then the guy now removed the gun and was like, do what I tell you now if you want to leave, or else I'll shoot you, because I do not want to be caught by the soldiers and die too. So now we're all scared.
So you risked everything.
Yes,
you risked
everything.
your life for a better life for your family, huh?
So we cross. When we cross, we crawl underneath the fence. We reach the other side. When we reached that side, there was a car waiting in the middle of a bush. When we reached that part of the bush, the driver says, how many people you have? He says 7. How many have money? He tells them the story that this one will get a pay for it, this one will get a pay for it. The driver says, okay, these 5 get in, these 2 are not coming with us. That's me and a guy called Webster. Yes.
Who are not coming with him.
He drives and leaves us. So we are now left in the middle of a jungle or a forest or whatever it was, with no money, with no food, with nothing. We start crying. And we were kids, 21. We start crying for 10, 15 minutes trying to think, okay, what is happening? What is going on here? And then Webster, the guy I was with, was a bit older than me. So I had to pull myself together to say, if we cry, we don't know what's going to happen. We need to figure out what to do right now.
To make a plan
Going back
somehow.
to the river was not an option because we were going to die. We had to think of going forward and trying to find somebody who could help us. So now I want you to note we're in the middle of a jungle. And while in the middle of a jungle, we start walking. While we're walking...
did you have a phone with you? Nothing.
I didn't have a phone.
Nothing.
Anything. It was just us. So when we were walking, we start hearing sounds. I'm like to Webster, are they babies? Did somebody leave a baby here? Yet it was a hyena. You know, hyena makes sounds like an infant crying.
Okay.
So Webster knew about it and says, stop, keep quiet. Because once they can smell us from a distance, they'll probably hunt us. So he urinated on the ground, which is a method I'd never known. I grew up in the city, he grew up in the rural area, so I didn't know what was happening. He says, pee. He takes the mud and puts that mud on our skin so that...
To protect you, they can't smell you anymore.
They can smell the pee, but cannot identify what's really happening. That was what he explained to me. I didn't know whether it really helped or it didn't. Then we start walking and lying down and lying low so that the wild animals don't catch us. So for a good 2 days, we spent in that place walking.
The jungle?
Yes.
For 2 days?
For 2 days.
How did you survive? I mean, what did you eat? What did you drink?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
So 3 days straight without food and water. And then we pop up on a small city called Louis Trichardt. We had walked for over 60 kilometers or longer because we were stopping and trying to sleep at some point. And then when we reach into the town, we try to ask for help from people because now we're in civilization. But remember, we were dirty, we were smelly. Nobody wanted to help us because they thought we were begging to rob them or things like that. And then I pick up a coin, a 50-cent coin. Then I rush to a payphone. I call my dad. It was going to give me 30 seconds of talking time. And my father was crying. And I'm trying to explain to him, I don't have money. Then he calls me back on that landline. He says, find somewhere or somebody with a car to try to bring you this side, and I'll pick you up. So we go on the highway. We were stinky. Nobody was going to stop for dirty people. But one truck came and it stopped. And when it stopped, we tried to tell him, we need to get to Johannesburg or Pretoria. And then he was like, I can't take you because right now there are soldiers in this highway.
Who are controlling everything.
If they catch you,
be dangerous.
You're going to be in prison for a while, and that's bad. So wait a bit, maybe when it's dark. The woman he was with was like, I know what you guys need. Go to a certain address she gave us. There's a woman there who helps immigrants. And then when she helps you, then you can stay a day and then you leave the next day. We're like, good. So we found our way. It took us a bit of a while. We found our way to the house. When we got there, I collapsed. I blacked out. Because remember, we had not eaten, we had not drunk anything. And I had a heart problem.
Must have been so weak.
It was. And then I blacked out. When I blacked out, apparently 3 or 4 days I was out because Webster was feeding me porridge while I was sleeping or however unconscious I was, only to find out that this woman was a human trafficker. She was taking all those people that she was keeping, putting them in small shacks,
So she didn't want to help you? She was unbelievably dangerous.
Yes. So now, because I was sick, that's what saved us. Webster was getting food and what so on. So one day when I regained consciousness, he was like, pretend to be sick because we are not really in a very safe place. This becomes a very emotional thing for me because he saved my life in a way, because I would not be here if it wasn't for him. So my mother does not even know this part of the story because I have never had the heart.
You really want to tell her. You told it already,
yes.
but it's just,
it's okay. She'll get to see this. And then one night, I'm going to just fast forward to a bit, when I'd regained my strength and could walk, but pretending to these people that I was still sick because Webster was taking care of me. They were drunk and having a party. My room was not being locked because they still wanted him to come and check in. So when he came and checked me at one point when they were drunk, we escaped. When we escaped, he had managed to hustle about 30 rands, which is South African money, and we got into a train. When we got into a train that was going to Johannesburg straight. When we get into that train, there were soldiers in that train looking for border jumpers and, illegal people. So there were these women that were sitting on a seat opposite us. They were like, go underneath the train seat, me. Because I was skinny and tiny, I could fit down there. They put a blanket over themselves.
So she helped you and protected you?
Yes, and they gave Webster a passport that belonged to her son, but her son was not
she
there.
Gave?
Yes. So as Webster said,
her son's passport?
Yes.
Really?
When the army came, they checked the passport. They look at Webster, they look at the passport, they almost look the same, and they let him go. So for like an hour or two, I was down there. And then they took me out, they fed us, they gave us food like us. I ate KFC for the first time in forever. I think that was the first time of me eating KFC. That was 2008.
Like angels that protected you, right?
And then the train was an overnight train. We reached Pretoria the next day. We get out of the station. My father had informed us, when you reach to Pretoria, look for Home Affairs for Refugees. So
your father was always there?
Was already there, yes. So when we got to the Home Affairs for Refugees, my dad was there too. By chance, because I had not called him, we didn't have money. By chance, when we got there, I see him queuing and he runs to me, hugs me, picks me up,
it's an unbelievable story, like from a movie, And now you're sitting here and you're such a positive person.
Yeah, I am.
And we're going to talk about everything after the next song. And
which
it's Changing Chords goes together with everything we talked about, right? So Changing Chords. Von diesem wunderbaren, this wonderful artist is singing.
Thank you.
The next song for you, Changing Chords.
Let's go.
Life that I'm living, it's no easy task. You sleep in a trench town with no food to eat. Mama told me someday, my beautiful boy, you shall change the world one chord at a time. I see the changes, 'cause music is playing, I move your soul. The changes as I strum on my guitar, the world is a better place. I see the changes as music is playing, I move your soul. I see the changes as I strum on my guitar. Oh, it's a ghetto song. Won't you sing it with me now? It's a ghetto song. Won't you sing it with me now? ghetto when you met me, or when you left me. Ghetto when you came back to me. Music can change it. Music can change it. It was ghetto when you met me, or when you left me. Ghetto when you came back to me. Music can change it. Music can change it. It's a ghetto song. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Won't you sing it with me now? It's a ghetto song. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Won't you sing it with me now? It's a ghetto song. Won't you sing it with me now? It's a ghetto song. No. Won't you sing it with me now? I see the changes. It's a ghetto song. A ghetto song. I see the changes. It's a ghetto song. A ghetto song. It's a ghetto song. A ghetto song. Listen to these changing chords. It's a ghetto song. Say it. Listen to these changing chords. It's a ghetto song. It's a ghetto song. This changing chord. It's a ghetto song. Oh yeah. Listen to these changing chords. It's a ghetto song. Yeah.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, what empowered you during this hard time we just talked about? I mean, you had to leave Zimbabwe, and it was a hard time for you.
Yeah.
What was your empowerment?
My family roots and my being a Christian and having to have worked with children in so many other projects. I still want to see kids grow to become the best versions of themselves. So if I can come from the gutter and the ghetto and all those pains and still be this...
It's a miracle, no? That you're sitting here, you're a rising star, and you came from such a underprivileged background. So everything is possible.
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible, but I mean, everything is based on your belief, no?
Yeah, if I...
That's become possible to you.
Yes, I'm a very spiritual person in the sense that I believe in energy, and my music transfers energy. And I believe that God has every design in my life to change the world one chord at a time. So, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you are really aware that you're very blessed and you give this blessing back to people who are underprivileged.
Yes.
What do you do? Just quickly.
All right, I play, when I'm in South Africa, I do a few workshops at the German school. Right now I'm teaching marimba in the Deutsche Schule in Pretoria. And then I go into communities, also play music and teach and provide psychosocial support for kids affected by HIV and infected with HIV and AIDS. And touch in so many elements. So I love just helping. That is the best thing. Because
do they see you as a role model?
They love me.
They do, right?
They do.
You are a role model to our viewers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being our guest, and all the best for your future. Yeah. And I hope you stop by the next time you are in Germany. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.